Every year, Washington elites get together with corporate CEOs in order to have a nice dinner of lobster, filet mignon, and drink champagne. It's known as the Alfalfa Club dinner. And the press is not involved. The press is not allowed to be there. This is a very exclusive club. And again, it is the marriage of Washington elite, our lawmakers, and corporate executives. Now, the fact that the media isn't involved or allowed to be there says something to you, but this isn't a Republican event. This is a very bipartisan event to essentially allow our lawmakers to hobnob with corporate elites. Now, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer were all in the room together. This happened over the weekend. And just to give you a little bit of history on this event or this club, it started back in 1917 to honor Robert E. Lee's birthday. So
not a good beginning.
Since then, it's either evolved or devolved, depending on what you care most about, to an event that essentially looks out for the best interests of corporations in the country. But again, we're not allowed to be there. The press isn't able to report on it, but there have been some speeches leaked, which we're gonna get to in just a second. Now, Supreme Court Chief Justice John G. Roberts delivered the crop report, which is the official introduction of the club's newest inductees, or sprouts.
No, clever.
Yeah, get it, alfalfa sprouts.
Yeah.
Okay. So
they all get dressed up in tuxes. Look, I'm not hating, but I am.
No, you should totally hate.
Yeah, no, let me explain the part I don't hate and the part I do. So look, getting Republicans and Democrats in a room together and being nice to each other, it's not a bad thing. And so, especially in the old days when they used to actually debate things and cared about policy or principles, that was even more helpful. Now it's like they don't care at all. They just, who's paying me, what's the donors? So this has just become them eating lobster and filet mignon, and it has less practical value these days. But still, I like the idea of them being able to be decent to each other for a change.
Right.
But
that's not the point of this.
Yeah, but this is all in service of those business executives, as you'll see from the list of new alfalfa sprouts. And so, closed door meeting where you all get dressed up and do something super fancy and tell business executives that you'll actually do whatever they tell you to do to run the country. Not interested.
So I want to give you some specific names. These are the new inductees. Senator Christopher A. Coons from Delaware, it's a Democrat. Senator Shelley Moore Capito from West Virginia, Republican.
I can't accept that.
Yeah, Robert Bellinger, CEO of ASB Real Estate Investments. Timothy Collins, CEO of Ripplewood Advisors. Kenneth Frazier, CEO of Merck & Company. John Hess, CEO of Hess Corporation. Doug McMillan, CEO of Walmart. And Phoebe Novakovic, who is the CEO of General Dynamics. So I give you that list of new people because it's important for you to know that this is not an effort to get Democrats and Republicans together in a room to work together. This is all about the marriage of our lawmakers and corporate interests. That's all this is about. Now, John Kerry happens to be a Democrat, by the way. John Kerry happens to be the president of this Alfalfa group. And so he gives a speech with all sorts of jokes, except the jokes are not funny. And I don't say that because people from Washington are unfunny. I say it because he thinks it's funny to make fun of how wealthy they are while the rest of us are suffering with a stagnant economy. It's stagnant for the middle class and working class. He says the following: I got to tell you, you all look incredibly dapper tonight in your ball gowns, your tuxedos, your bow ties, and your cummerbunds, or as we call it in our house, workout gear. No, this enraged me. Or as we call it at our other house, pajamas. Or as we call it at our other house, swimming costumes. Oh, get it? You get it? You get it, Jake? They're really rich and they have multiple houses while all of us are suffering from an insane housing market, and some people are getting evicted from their homes or getting pushed out because they can't afford the rent. Hilarious! Woo!
Yeah, and how did they get so rich? By sucking up to the CEO of Walmart and General Dynamics and oil companies like Hess. We're all having such a good time. Where's my cummerbund? I need a cummerbund.
I don't even know what that is. But anyway, look, either way, I get that he's joking. This was a speech full of jokes, but it's not funny when it's actually very true, right? When the Washington elite are so far disconnected from the American people that they're supposed to represent. He also says, just think, Mitt and I, meaning Mitt Romney, are two of the only people who understand the temptation to run for office in every state where you own a home. Mitt and I do have a lot in common. Mitt has run for the presidency, I've run for the presidency. Well, that's great.
So John Kerry is the outgoing president, Mitt Romney is the new incoming president. And one of the headlines that came out of this event was that as they were doing that transition and Kerry's introducing him, they hugged. So like there's scandal. I don't care about them hugging each other. I care about them hugging the CEOs while they slip money into their pockets.
Right, exactly, right. Exactly. Now I do want to give Kerry a little tiny bit of credit for one joke that I thought was funny from his speech. Has to do with Roger Stone. So anytime we're going after him, I'm having fun. Roger Stone isn't here. He's always been controversial. I remember when he got caught advertising for sex in bondage and swingers magazines. So Friday morning probably wasn't the first time he started his day in handcuffs.
No, that's a good one. That's a zinger. Okay.
Anyway.
You were right. I hadn't heard that one. A Roger Stone joke. I like it.
Yeah, we like that. But making jokes about how wealthy you are, especially when the American people know how you got there, not so funny.
Yeah, okay, so look, last thing on this is, so the Trump and Pence were not there, but a bunch of his former cabinet members and current colleagues were there. So John Kelly, former chief of staff, Jim Mattis, former defense secretary, Rex Tillerson, former secretary of state were there, Kellyanne Conway, current treasury secretary, Steve Mnuchin. Said, why do I tell you that? Because those guys are the establishment. So this is a gathering for the establishment. And so people on the left and I guess Trump are not as welcome, right? So this is the club. I mean, if ever there was a physical manifestation of the club, this is it. And
isn't this the deep state? I mean, maybe not the deep state, but like this is what I think of when people bring up the smoke-filled rooms.
Yeah.
Right? This is where the negotiating happens. This is where the real deals happen. These are the influencing factors behind why our lawmakers act the way they do and propose the type of legislation that they propose. It's the influencing factor behind why they refer to someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who just wants universal health care, as a radical, right?
So it used to be smoke-filled rooms, now it's lobster-filled rooms. And what I propose, I don't think is radical. I think it's what the overwhelming majority of Americans agree with, which is a separation of business and state.
Yes.
What we have instead today is an assumption that business and state should commingle. And that is not challenged by the orthodoxy of either party, okay? So the Democrats almost canceled this event because of the government shutdown, but since the government shutdown was averted the day before the dinner, they were like, yes, grab your cummerbund. We're all getting dressed up in tuxes and going to the Alfalfa Club, where we're gonna get to hobnob with the CEO of pharmaceutical companies, oil companies, and defense contractors. And to them, the idea of separating business and state and representing the people rather than the corporation is such a foreign idea. They don't even realize that that's an issue. Like otherwise, they'd be slightly embarrassed about this dinner. Instead, they flaunt it and are thrilled to be participating. Two easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below, then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.